Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we do these free mentoring sessions week after week after week. This is now 10 years that we're doing it. Maureen, somebody is echoing a little bit. If you could mute whatever echo is coming in, that would be great. This is the 413th free mentoring roundtable from 1 Million by 1 Million. We started experimenting with this format back in the fall of 2008 when my first book was coming out. And so it's been 10 years since we started. And now it's been week after week after week for 10 years of doing this. The event is being recorded, and you will find recordings of every single roundtable we have done available in our YouTube channel. 1M1M Roundtables is the name of the channel. You can subscribe to it. You can listen to any number of recordings you would like to. They're available for free. If you're live tweeting the show today, please use hashtag 1M1M. And you can follow me on Twitter at Ramana or follow 1M by 1M. Either way, we publish a lot of interesting content, inspiring content, educational content, stuff that you'll learn a lot from and feel, positively about your entrepreneurial journey through the lessons from the trenches of other entrepreneurs. So these are the call-in instructions. We have 3 presenters before I think we go to Q&A, but I will bring the slide back up a bit later. It is a roundtable, not a broadcast, so we want you all to participate as much as possible, ask questions, weigh in. So use the public chat for that, but also you will have a chance to call in if you'd like to do so. A little bit of expectation setting for those of you who are going to be pitching today. Remember, this is a safe working session. We want you to be completely comfortable bringing your issues, your challenges here. We'll work together and help you accelerate your journey. That is the whole purpose of this session. There's nothing else on the agenda. Now, it is possible that you may disagree with my feedback, and that's okay. It's your venture. Ultimate strategy decisions are yours. Just remember a few things which are kind of non-negotiable. Not all businesses can raise money, and raising money doesn't necessarily guarantee success. So you have to understand the issues around fundability. What is fundable, what is not fundable, whether you should be raising money, should be chasing investors, etc. All right, let's start with Sri Raghunath, Intelligent Machine Transformations, Hexaform. Sri, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on.
Yeah, hi, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Sri Raghunath. A little bit of brief introduction about me, and then I'll get into the business proposition that I'm pitching out here. So I've been in the IT industry for the last 2+ decades, mainly around the contact center enterprises. Have a lot of infrastructure background, IT data center infrastructure background. And primarily, I come from working for a lot of OEMs. I've had experience of decade plus in Avaya and also other stints in NICE as well as Aspect. So that's a little bit of a brief background. Also, I'm an engineer by my, academics, as well as done PMP certification. So that's who I am. Coming to, what is Hexaform Technologies? So Hexaform Technologies is, we have the software-defined data center at our heart of everything that we do. What we do is do solutions innovations in and around the space of software-defined data center. So primarily, how would we define software-defined data centers? So anything that does not require hardware to drive their infrastructure, which means hardware is more of a plug and play, and actually the software that rides on top of the hardware, which is the virtualization and abstraction applications. So that is what a software-defined data center. What do we do out here? We do primarily 4 things. We identify whatever the kind of transformation opportunities that are out there. So these transformation opportunities could be ranging from on-premises to cloud, various cloud from one cloud to the other, and sometimes also cloud back to on-premises. So these are the various types of transformational opportunities that we work on. Once we identify, we also build migration models to aid in such a transformation. And obviously, as part of the full journey partnerships that we do with our clients, we design, plan, and carry out these transformations, and finally we do the support and continuous improvements as part of this journey. So this is who we are. Do I go ahead, Shramana, or do you want me to stop the question?
Absolutely. You can just tell me when you want me to advance your slides, and I will do that. And just go ahead and explain what you're doing and how you're doing, what is the market, etc.
Sure. Okay. So for today's discussion, the exact use case that I want to cover is there are a lot of small and medium enterprises, obviously starting from India, but we are also eventually going to focus on the Middle East, Africa, as well as the Southeast Asia markets. So in all of these markets, we have small and medium businesses that who run their IT data centers, but that do not have a very structured and a very defined method to, first of all, gauge and understand where they are, where they should get to, and how they should migrate to that end state vision. So they, many times they are, they take a piecemeal approach to hardware infrastructure. It's like add a RAM here, a disk there, repeat it whenever there is a need. And invariably, it is the application or the software that is driving the needs of the IT data center and hardware. So that's the current state of what we have, what we have seen with all our market research that we have done. And as I said, the who is primarily the large, the small and medium enterprises. Invariably, the large enterprises do have a certain, a process and a method to approach data center transformation because mainly they have the money to do it. Whereas small and medium businesses, they are more run on the applications that they need to run their business, data center or hardware infrastructure.
Sri, I have one question here.
Sure.
So am I mistaken to assume that the small medium businesses are using data center providers who are third-party providers and not doing their own data centers? You seem to indicate that they have their own data centers, and I was under the impression that the small medium enterprise market is outsourcing the data centers. Could you please clarify?
Sure. So it's actually a mix and match of all sorts. I'll give you a few examples, actual examples based on the customers that we are working for. There is a customer who's a precision equipment manufacturer. So he does a lot of work for the government.
And where is this?
This is in Bangalore.
Okay.
Okay. So this person is very clear because the government demands and mandates it that he cannot have any of his infrastructure, especially his data, outside his premises. So he's a good example of someone who maintains his entire infrastructure by within his premises. There are other examples as well, primarily in the SaaS startup domain, who because they are a startup and because they want to keep their expenses down and preferably operational, they do go to public cloud services. We do have another such customer who's a legal compliance as a service provider who has his entire infrastructure on the Azure. So it is actually a mix and match, Ramana. There is what we do know is whether it is a data center as a service, which means outsourced either to a co-location data center or into a public cloud infrastructure like AWS or Azure, or even having it on premises. Most of these people have a knee-jerk way of setting up their infrastructure. It's invariably the application that drives the demand for hardware and not the other way around.
So in the cases where they are using third-party data centers, the hardware decisions are made by the third-party specialized provider or being made by the end customer?
So most of the outsourced data centers, they only provide rack, power, cooling, and in some cases they do provide the service as well. But the sizing, or I should say sizing is the wrong word, but the understanding of the data center requirement has to be done by the customer. So customer, what they do is they just go by what the application provider says.
Yeah. So decisions are made by the customer. Okay, got it. That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Sure. Yeah. So these are some of the bleeding neck issues, and this is actually a customer verbatim with various folks that we talked. I just skimmed through this because it's mostly textual. So one guy said that
don't put so much text on slides. It's a very well-known not to do in presentations is to put this much text. If you want to put stuff like this, you should build it into 6 different slides with one of the quotes in each and blow it out and make it much larger text. This much text in one slide is a complete no-no in terms of presentation styles.
Sure, point taken.
Because it does nothing. Same here, too much text.
Sure. So do you want me to cover this or move forward?
Yeah, go ahead and cover it, but obviously you have to cover it in voiceover, not with text. We can't read any of this.
Yeah. So again, there are some of the customer verbatim out here. So what they're saying primarily is my main business is not IT, but I do need IT to run my business. So net, I neither have the time nor the money to learn about IT to see what's going on behind the scenes. So we need someone who can come in and understand where we are and where we need to get to. So that's primarily what all of them are saying. So we can move on to the next slide, Ramana. So with all of this as a background, this is the solution or the innovation that we want to bring. We are calling it Hexasolve. Trademark is obviously pending. What it does is primarily 4 things. It collects, basically, there is going to be an intuitive and self-learning sort of a dynamic cloud-based audit. I won't say audit, but a questionnaire that we want to achieve this through a combination of textual and a sentiment. We want to build an audio-based. We want to have discussions with the customer where we are going to capture what they are saying on the audio and as well as textual. And based on the sentiment that they are saying, arrive at the business issues So obviously the intent out here is by using this whatever the secret sauce or the productive logic engine, which we want to patent eventually. Having the discussions will help us arrive at what are the customer's current business pain areas, which eventually will become the business objectives. Then once we have that, we get to the compare, where we look at their as-is state and where they need to get to, which is the modeling phase, where obviously we would have built this in-house database of all the other customers that we talk to. Every time we talk to a customer, that goes into our IP data store. So that's going to be our intellectual property. And every time we do it, that becomes a baseline for us to compare for the next customer that comes in. It could be based on the line of business that they are, kind of business that they're doing, their size, all of that will be a factor as well. And finally, once we have built the model and implemented the solution, we want to be able to monitor and say that, when we started this exercise out, these were the 8 to 10 KPIs or criteria that you said are critical for you to ensure that the data center that you run or IT that you run is successful and provides. So we want to be able to monitor against those. We want to actually bring a level of monitoring that is that we can compare with the business decisions that we set out in the collect phase. We can move forward. So how do we want to achieve this? This is a high-level roadmap of getting to the Hexasolve product. There is something called a CPAR, and I'll cover this in the next slide, but in a nutshell, what CPAR is Comprehensive Platform Advisory Review. That's the framework that we use it to do the collect piece of the puzzle, wherein we go talk to customers, and we are actually doing it. We are about 15 customers already where we have completed the CPARs, and we keep doing it with various customers. So we want to be able to complete these 20 such CPARs hopefully by end of this year, and maybe do a little bit of data ingestion and digestion about what we have understood, and document what lessons we have learned while doing this CPAR. So this is just the base framework which will help us to build the product. Then we get into the data modeling, which is basically slice and dice, understand what data we've collected and how and what should be the features and capabilities that this engine or this application will need to be built on. Then we'll get into the product development, which is basically we want to adopt the agile cycles, product development, product integration testing, and finally hopefully by end of FY19, which is March of 2020, we want to have done a couple of prototypes, couple of betas with customers, and make this product live. So this is the product roadmap that we have. So this is what CPAR is. This is actually a slide that we actually share with the customers. I just put it out here. I get your point about too much of text, so probably in my next go around I'll have to reword and rework this.
So actually, time-wise, you have taken up a lot of time. I would like to get to your business issues and your questions. So can you go to, you're spending too much time on product description. Let's talk about what is the market opportunity. How many of these kinds of data centers are out there that need the kind of support that you're talking about?
So this, in terms of market, this slide pretty much covers it. In terms of IT infrastructure spent by companies, various market research firms say that they are going to spend between $6 to $7 billion by end of FY20. And roughly there are about 2,500 to 3,000 resellers. And just by doing some math, we have identified that there is anywhere between $2 to $2.5 million in projected an opportunity per partner which we can get. So that's the market share that we have.
So I'm not convinced about this market size analysis. This is not how we do TAM analysis. So you need to do a bottom-up TAM analysis, and if you don't know how to do a bottom-up TAM analysis, you need to learn that. That's one piece of feedback you should take away. This is not the right way to do TAM analysis.
Where do I get to know a little more about that, Ramana?
You can use the 1M by1M curriculum to learn that. Any methodology, for all of you, anything that we encounter, that we talk about where there's a methodology piece that you need to learn, you can learn it from the 1M by1M curriculum.
Okay, understood.
Actually, let's go to where are you? What are you? Have you started? Is this a business or is it a plan?
No, we have already started. So can we go back to the product roadmap? I can tell you where we are, and we'll directly get to the issues slide. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are at step 1. We have started off. We have now about 8 employees, and most of them are technology consultants who are actually executing the CPAR. What we are also doing is, obviously once we execute a CPAR, we potentially can identify services-based opportunities where we can execute this project, but that's different. We are not going to cover that. That's a different line that we are pursuing. That's more of the IT services piece of the business, which we are also doing. But the idea here is whatever money we make from that, we funnel it or channel it back into the product roadmap.
Right. So as far as we are concerned, that is very much a method of bootstrapping that we use and encourage in our companies in the program. We call it bootstrapping with services. So it's perfectly okay if you are using services to engage with customers, get close to customers, learn their problems, start doing projects, build some cash flow, and use that as your seed capital and customer intimacy, customer spec collection mechanism to build a product. So very much in tune with how we, in a certain class of companies, how we encourage bootstrapping.
Correct, and that's our idea too. Obviously, this has a two-sided outcome. One, we get the required CPAR data that we need to build a product, and obviously there is the added thing of the money coming in. So we are at step 1 right now, Ramana.
How many customers in step 1?
So we are, I should say, about 8 to 9 fully completed. Couple of more, we are in the process of doing it. So 8 customers, CPARs fully done. 2 are in the process. Okay. This just gives a high-level roadmap of where we want to get to. I think this is sort of a repeat of the first slide, but I'll just go through it in any case.
So no, we don't have a lot more time. I have to work with 3 other entrepreneurs. So let me just kind of go through what I need to assess where you are and what input I can give you. So of the 8, you're saying 6 you have completed engagements with, 6 customers, and you have 2 others that are in the process?
8 completed, 2 more in the process.
And what kind of financials do those entail? So how much are they paying you? The 6 customers that you've done, how much have they paid you?
So these CPARs, we are not charging anything for the CPAR that we do. So what we do is, as an outcome of the CPAR, we actually get into an opportunity. So out of this 8, all 8 have turned out to be IT services opportunities. They are ranging from anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 per opportunity. So that's what we have with all of the 8 that we have completed.
Okay.
2 of them are actual projects, and 6 are opportunities.
So these 6 opportunities you are going to be doing IT services projects with in the next 6 months.
Correct, that's right.
So you have, in your pipeline, you have about somewhere between $300,000 to $600,000 worth of business at the moment in services.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
About that.
And how long will it take you to bring that revenue in, to complete the work so that you can get that revenue in?
We are estimating it to be completed and in our bank by end of March next year.
By end of March. And then from there, what is the time frame in which you will have productized what you're trying to sell?
Again, as I said, we require an year to go through the entire product roadmap that I showed you. So
a year from now or a year from next March?
No, year from next March.
Year from next March. So you are looking to bring in about somewhere between $300,000 to $600,000 worth of revenue through services, and then you're going to start the product development cycle based on the data you gather, and that's going to take you another year. So the business that you'll be doing should suffice to cover your 1-year product development cycle.
Correct, and plus me and 2 of my other partners have bootstrapped it as well, so that is that money as well.
Okay, all right. So what are your issues?
So I think the main issue that I have out here is I do not know whether the product definition. I know that this product is or this business issue is real and is something that's worth investing. But what I do not know is if I have defined it well enough. If the definition is clear for people to understand and hopefully either join if we are hiring or invest in if it's a VC.
Well, your investor pitch is nowhere near ready to be taken to investors, that's for sure. It seems like your customer pitch kind of works because you have got 6 customers engaged and possibly 2 more. So I think I'm happy to go over your customer pitch with you to understand what you're pitching and how customers are responding to that and so forth, and fine-tune that. We have, in our methodology, we have ways of fine-tuning both customer pitch and investor pitch. On the investor pitch side, there is a lot of work that you still need to do. And I think your best bet on getting there is by using the 1Mby1M curriculum in refining your methodology points that you need to refine. Templates and everything are available in there.
Okay, so do I read it up or what do I need to do next step?
So if you just hang on, let me finish working with the other entrepreneurs and I'll explain to you how to use 1Mby1M. But in a nutshell, if you just go to the website, you have a couple of options. Either you could do the curriculum only, which is 1Mby1M basic, and you just subscribe online and you listen to the video lectures and look at the case studies and learn from there. Or you can join 1Mby1M Premium, which is our full acceleration program that includes the mentoring, the connections, and so on and so forth. So you need to go spend some time studying the website and understanding the program. I will spend some time later on in the program explaining those options as well, so you're welcome to ask questions there.
Okay, sure. I'll wait for that.
All right. So Rahul Ranjan, you're up next. Rahul, please unmute your line.
Hi, this is Rahul. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll be quick. I tailored my deck according to the requirements. So if you need more information, you can ask me. I just on purpose is trimmed down actually. I'm based in Santa Clara. The company Palacio Incorporated started in January 2017 last year. It has a long-term mission of making every home or enterprise a palace by bringing smart and decorative products. All the links are like a lot of information are there. You can go over them. Our first product, Canvia, is basically a smart art frame. So what problem we are trying to solve? There are several of them. In general, the art world is confusing, intimidating. It takes a lot of time and money to purchase one art piece. Then even if you buy it after all the research and you spend a lot of money, you get bored pretty easily. After 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, you start seeing the same art pieces all the time. You cannot buy the expensive expensive art pieces also. Many times this budget itself can become a constraint. And then, yeah, I mean, it also aligns with the decor themes and the mood and productivity and everything, which means basically you can't change it based on occasion, mood, and decor. Once you have the art pieces on your wall, I think pretty much that's there actually. So these are the problems that we are trying to solve by coming up, next slide, by coming up with a smart art frame that's called Canvia. So bringing art to monitor or screen through some partnership is not a novel concept. This concept has been tried earlier as well. What is new and what is peculiar about us actually? So what's peculiar and new about us is we make it real, very real actually, under all lighting conditions. And that's the core IP. How do we do it? Basically, we study the behavior of normal art pieces or the print art pieces under different lighting conditions. How do they reflect? Anything that you see on the wall, for that matter, not only art pieces, but anything that you see actually is dependent on the light reflected by the object. So if we understand the reflection profile of the art pieces for different color, texture, shape, and everything, and then we try to imitate this or simulate this actually on the screen through image processing technology, we should be able to depict you really like a very close to real art actually. This is the core concept which has never been tried in this industry to showcase art pieces. This is the core concept, and this is the #1 value proposition of this product, where when you buy this Canvia product, you should expect real artwork, and if you don't know about it, it's a digital screen, you should not be able to figure out also. #2 value proposition of this product is it's interactive also. What do we mean by interactive? I think there are a few features such as text and caption, which gives you information about the artist, year, medium, and all relevant information by just swiping on the app, or you can go to web. So there are 3 different ways you can, sorry, I forgot this piece. So there are 3 different ways you can control the monitor. One is the web, other is voice, and third is the app itself. Now, when we say interactivity, I talked about the text or caption piece to know more about art pieces. This #2 is zoom and repositioning, which also means if you have zoom and repositioning, then you can put in any kind of aspect ratio for art pieces, which is a major problem in this market, into the screen, and you can still enjoy it. You can do vertical and horizontal, depending on the decor. You can change frames and things like which are very much interactive in nature for the art pieces that you want to see. That's #2 value prop. And if you go to the next slide, the number third or the value prop of this product is the curated content. So this is indeed a gadget or like a screen, but then we provide content, and that differentiates it from any gadget that you buy from the smart home domain. Basically, you're buying a lot of art pieces in a single device. That's the idea. Each and every artwork that we bring in for the consumers and customers through our partnership with museums, galleries, or artists, those are checked for quality purposes, and entire package makes it different art pieces. Next.
Do you have to pay any kind of royalties to do that?
Yes, we do. Yeah, but the current and contemporary artists, we do pay them back. It's a percentage of revenue that we generate from the subscription fee. That's the idea.
Okay.
Target market, it's kind of tough to assess the total market in a traditional way, mainly because it's a new market. And there are two ways to look at it actually. One is the total top level, I wouldn't say TAM, the word is appropriate, but there was no way for me to define it. But basically, without getting in the numbers, every space like home, office, hospitals, restaurants, hotels, the target market for this product, if we really bring in the value that we are saying so confidently, which is it makes it real and we have partnership in art space. And sizing depends on how much we expand this segment. This segment already exists. There are competitors and they have products out. It's just that we have the best-in-class product in this market, and we hope to expand this segment. That's the idea, actually. At a broad level, the consumer market, the smart home market, is a little different than the contract market, or collectively we call contract office, hotels, restaurants, or hospitals market. In the home space, the volume is very high, but the recurring content or subscription fee is expected to be less, both from dollar per consumer perspective and also the volume perspective. The go-to-market for this segment is clearly Amazons of the world or Targets of the world, anything like Best Buy, online physical retail stores, even beta stores, which is very good for this kind of early products. And then second market collectively, hotels, restaurants, and hospitals. I think you need to do more B2B sales, engage with the right person in the context or in the building, which could be interior designers, installers, art dealers, property managers, and it depends on the case. This is complex, and every I guess segment and company, I think things are very different actually in this case. So that's the go-to-market is not straightforward. You need to have people to go and chase this market. One more question that I have often asked, like who are the consumers and customers in reality for this kind of products? And people may or may not know, art market itself is about $60 billion market. About 40% of it is US alone. And then second market is, the second, I guess, segment is the gadget lovers. And people in US and Western Europe, I think they are the primary consumers for all the smart home gadgets like Alexa, smart locks of the world, or Nest of the world. So that's the overall landscape that we can tell about.
Rahul, I have one piece of feedback right there, actually, where you say, I think your target segment is not so much gadgets or smart home enthusiasts. You need an intersection of the two, art enthusiasts who are also gadgets or smart home enthusiasts. And this art market that you're talking about here being your market, please understand that a very large portion of the art market in the US and in the world actually are people who make investments in works of art, and that is a market that is outside of your reach. So of the $60 billion market, a large portion of that market is original artwork that people are investing in, and you're going to need to differentiate between that and your target market, because that market is off limits for you.
That is true, and that's the reason I didn't put a dollar number for the total market size. Which is true. So we ran a crowdfunding effort recently. We did 35 days of campaign. We sold about 175K pre-sales, which validated the market. We also validated people just want, there are people who just want a device with base tier subscription, and there are people who want premium tier subscription. 560 devices sold already, also ongoing, some more pre-sales, and 3 offices purchased. For pre-ordering, average dollar number per consumer is about $300. We were covered by some of the leading publications. House's #1 interior design publication. On the technology side, Digital Trends, New Atlas, and well, just the leading ones who covered us. We are still talking to some of the major publications who may be covering in coming days. And one thing that we realize for this product is, unless you see it, it's kind of tough actually. So people who have seen, they understand the value, and we are getting better and better on the product actually with time, because our analytics about lighting and how we adjust is getting better also. That's ArtSense technology we're building. Now on the partnership side,
so how long will it take you to fulfill the orders that you've got already?
No, it's scheduled to be fulfilled in January. So in crowdfunding, you always, so mass production is the next step for us actually. So we have pre-production device, and now we are moving to mass production. That's where we are.
So these 560 consumers and 3 offices that have pre-ordered will get their products in January.
That is true. That's true.
And when did you run the crowdfunding campaign? How long are people waiting for it?
We just finished it 15 days back, actually. We still do in like e-commerce kind of thing. Yeah.
So people are waiting about 4 months, 5 months to get their product.
Yes. And the crowdfunding, I think, number is fairly high. It's definitely less than 1%, about 0.9% crowdfunding efforts that has happened so far throughout the history of Kickstarter. And we still doing like getting some, taking some pre-orders actually. And this, given the fact that we didn't have marketing budget, we are bootstrapped. It's very good effort actually. So we validated the market, which also tells us that the content can be sold on top of hardware. And yeah, and a lot of positives out of it. And we just did 35 days. We could have gone for 2 months probably. It was not probably possible for us to continue like that. So yeah, a lot of positives. Sorry, that's it from my side actually.
So go ahead with your questions.
I had some general questions, I think, which is more related to how you run the accelerator. Do you like face-to-face interact, or you do video? How often you do it? And just probably 1 or 2 lines with respect to the way you interact. And then second is, I did see your fundable video. So I guess the feeling that I got about fundable aspect is it's more about the market size, and then only you go to funding or you don't do funding. Is that the case, or there are other things also that you consider?
So in terms of interactions, we have the format that you're experiencing is our mentoring format. If you're local to Silicon Valley, or if you're visiting Silicon Valley, we also have in-person rendezvous every other week at Cafe Boroni in Menlo Park, where you can come and meet me and discuss. But the primary interface of the accelerator is through these kinds of WebEx video calls. And they happen weekly and multiple times throughout your interaction with the program. Now, this is only available if you're a premium member. The basic members have curriculum-only access, and that's a video lectures and case study access online, but it's not a interactive access. So that's on the accelerator question. What is fundable? Market size is one of the big criteria. There is also a velocity question. So if you are talking about VC funding, an investor is trying to see if he or she invests in your company, can you go from 0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years in revenue? That is not just a function of market size. It is a function of market size as one of the top criteria, yes, but it's also a function of velocity. Can you build a high velocity, large business? That is what VCs are trying to figure out. And that's, being able to establish that in a defensible format is what makes your deal fundable. Your question about geography, we are completely global, so there is absolutely no constraint on geography. All right, you can, again, I will talk more about how to use the program later on in the program. Let me finish working with the other entrepreneurs, and you're welcome to ask more questions.
Thanks, Shama.
You're welcome. I see. So Maureen is saying Gipesh and Arvind, who were pitching next, have disappeared. So Raj is ready to pitch next. All right. Raj, I will put your slides up. Go on.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good morning, everybody. And first, I would like to apologize in advance because I just, on a whim, decided to create my deck last night. I didn't expect to be pitching this morning because I thought I would get the email saying that you had to wait in line. So nevertheless, thank you for the opportunity. Very quick introduction. I had the opportunity of being a founding employee at Minjar, which got acquired by Nutanix some months ago. And based on that, there was a certain pain point that we experienced ourselves, that essentially is what I wanted to share and get some feedback today. We're very early. The value prop is mid-sized companies, that's the target we're going after, have business expenses and especially accounts payables. The pain point I particularly had was I didn't have continuous visibility into my accounts payables, and as a follow-on to that, I didn't have a mechanism of realizing ongoing cost savings on a recurring basis based on that. I had the pain, and then we reached out to a few of the customers saying that maybe there's a potential opportunity over here. So that is the value prop. The target customer segment that we're targeting is companies with more than 5 million in annual recurring revenue. We are specifically targeting the heads of finance, financial controllers, CEOs in the companies, and as and when possible, heads of procurement. I do want to call out that we are very, very early into this. We really stumbled upon this last month when I decided to go back and take a look at our pain points in the previous company. I cannot talk about the addressable market size, but I will talk about the pain point. The acute pain point that we felt, and then in talking to a few of the customers, is there are very specific categories within accounts payables, travel and business travel especially being a particular one. Then SaaS licenses. Many SaaS companies have a number of SaaS licenses that they procure and start to consume. They don't have visibility in terms of how much of that is being used, what users are using when, and it's an opportunity to go on an ongoing basis to get visibility to that. Credit card fees, banking transactions, broadband fees. Now, saying that, I fully realize that this is a broad enough category, and we may not be able to hit all of these. But nevertheless, we are in a very early phase, in discovery phase. That's why I just wanted to keep it within the purview of the opportunity. Given that that's a pain, right? Can I just quickly go back to the previous slide? I want to highlight something, please. There is very limited focus today, on behalf of business. When I was running the previous company as COO, and even in talking with some of the customers right now, going and reviewing business expenses, it's not something that is a very glamorous activity. It's a very boring activity, but it's a very important activity. There's no dedicated person chartered to go and do this, and the potential in realizing can be significant. For now, we are specifically targeting mid-sized companies. Right, and maybe the potential is bigger to go after the bigger companies, but right, at least we are saying that if we can target around 200K in savings, right, at least to show the value, that's the current goal. Our current solution today, we literally are actually going and meeting customers one by one, and we are at least, and we are, for now, for the two opportunities we have, we're offering a service. We are still in the early stage of discovery. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves and waste money trying to create a product that may not be being used. So stage one is where we are. We have right now, as we speak, 2 customers. Our goal is to get to 20 customers. Purely by hunting. the goal is to learn, prove out that indeed this is a sustainable model. Indeed, this is a value for which customers will want to pay for, and they see the need on a sustainable basis, and that in turn will teach us about how we can create an offer and price it. One of the big lessons I learned from the previous company was to not put all of these back in the back burner, right? Because it took us a long time to figure those things out. And also, other thing, Ramana, is to be vocal about what we don't know upfront, right? So that takes me to the stage 2. We are not at stage 2, but the goal is that hopefully, once we are confident about stage 1, it gives us enough conviction and confidence that we can, at that time, attempt to create a product. So at this point, right, frankly, there is no go-to-market. We are in the very early throes of a discovery, and really the opportunity is to get the feedback, frankly, given that that's the purpose of this forum. Let me go to the next slide. We have talked to about 6 to 8 customers, although the inspiration was through our own personal pain points. The goal is to at least talk to and reach out to 50 to 100 over the next few months. And by talking in that way, our goal is to, number one, prove out, is this a sustainable problem and an opportunity? And then if so, will they be willing to pay even for a services revenue? If they are, then I think that's a path we may embrace upon. And then using that, which was the previous model, the previous company that we did, we may end up creating a product. We plan to constrain our focus on some very specific areas within accounts payable. Typically, the top ones tend to be travel cost, IT SaaS cost. We solved in the previous company the problem of the AWS cost. This time we'll probably target SaaS license cost and maybe broadband costs. But these are moving targets. We still don't know yet. Deal sizes, again, too early to comment, but we are sensing that, at least based on early conversations, that customers may be willing to pay, provided they're in the threshold of 5 million revenue and above, about $2,000 per month worth of value, provided you can show the value which is 10x higher than that. So that's pretty much what I had, and then I had a few questions. Right. 3 specific questions for today. Again, I'll caveat this by saying that we are very, very early. We have not even taken a look at our TAM, although I think we have an idea as to go about doing it, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Yes, we have done a startup, right, but we are humble enough to realize that what worked for us may not work again. So we are very open to feedback and suggestions, but we're quite keen to know any inputs on how we may accelerate product market fit. One of the things I could not figure out as well in the previous one is how long should we continue with services as and when we decide to cut over from a services to a platform-based model. So those were the specific questions that I had.
So value prop wise, there are companies that do this, and there's a case study that we did of a very, very good company, and a completely bootstrap company actually, that did a gain share model on optimizing, this whole procurement process. And okay. And I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but you can look on the blog and try to find it. If you're in the program, I will help you find it. Sure. But they cater to the enterprise. You're talking, I think, if I'm reading you right, you're talking about going after the mid-market. So that's right. Pretty much every concept that works in the enterprise has at least some applicability in the mid-market. The intensity of applicability, the intensity of the pain may be less, but it's worth exploring how an enterprise problem translates into the mid-market, what is the scale of the pain point, etc. So that's my feedback on your value prop. You should do some competitive analysis of whether that I know this solutions exist for the enterprise. Are there similar solutions that are targeting the mid-market? And that will also help you assess product market fit to see how those competitors are doing, what they're doing, what they're learning from the market. Competition is actually good news because you can learn from them about what they're learning from the market. That's my input on your second point.
Sure.
And then the third point, how long should you continue with services? It's not so much a function of services revenues as it is a function of how long does it take you to get your product both scoped out and built. So you should continue with services for as long as it takes you to get to your productization. Once you get your product done, you should be selling the product, not services. Or at least you should be, if you sell services, it should be integration services using the product or, you know, so forth, extension services on top of the product. But if you have a product ready, you should be selling product, not services.
Okay. Now, I think that's very useful feedback. And again, yeah, I wish I was better prepared today, but thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. You know, as I told, I think Sri earlier, bootstrapping using services is very much a part of our methodology. It's a very efficient and predictable way of actually getting to a successful productization usually. So we like it very much. And what I also like about bootstrapping using services is you have opportunities to iterate. So if you have got maybe the original hypothesis wrong, you have a services business going so that you have opportunities to course correct and you know, validate with customers and so on and so forth. There's lots of benefits, and we have case study after case study of successes in that realm. So very supportive of both Raj's as well as Sri's efforts in bootstrapping using services.
Great. Can I just ask a follow-on question, if you have time?
Go on.
Shamna, as a part of this early stage discovery, any signals during the product market fit? You know, because the mind can play tricks. Based on your experiences and from past entrepreneurs, any suggestions on do's and don'ts during the whole customer discovery and the product market fit?
Well, you know, one easy thumb rule for gauging how strong is the pain point is to ask people if they're willing to pay some advance to solve the problem, to develop a product. So if you create a services engagement and if people are willing to pay you a little bit in advance, that's one way. And in your case, I think if you can close one deal, one paying customer, and you can actually show results, then you can take it to other customers and do similar kinds of you know, deals where you will be able to ask advances. So if people are willing to pay advance, that means they are willing to solve the problem and willing to pay you to solve the problem, and they think the problem is worth solving.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, folks, I see a hand up. We will take questions, so do line up your questions. You're welcome to start putting your questions into public chat, and I'll also open up the line in a moment. Let me just spend a few minutes explaining how to use the program to those of you who are looking for that perspective, and then you can ask questions both about your businesses as well as the program itself. So one thing I want to request you is, if you like what we're doing here, please refer the program to other serious entrepreneurs. And the reason the word serious is in bold is that we acknowledge the fact that building a business is really tough, and it takes years of commitment. You're committing, you know, 5, 7, 10 years of your life to build a business. You're not coming into this thinking that this is some sort of a get-rich-quick scheme. If you are coming in with that perspective, please don't come into our program, because we have no idea how to make you rich overnight. That's just not what we do. We can train you on how to build a business and how to put one foot before the other. We'll be with you as long as you want us to be with you, years of business building. But that's what we can do. What we cannot do is provide you with silver bullets that, you know, basically have some alchemist value to it. All resources from 1Mby1M are at 1Mby1M.com. You'll find a blog that has all our case studies are actually available on the blog. So you can find every single case study on the blog. They're just not presented in a curriculum format, which is available as part of 1M1M Basic and 1M1M Premium. But you, just by following the blog, you will learn a lot. I know, for example, Raj has been following the blog for a long time because he came to one of my rendezvous and told me. So there are a lot of people who learn by following the blog. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series, there are 12 volumes. Using those case studies, the case studies have been curated into books. And you could, you know, you could, for example, find a book that is a volume focused on case studies of bootstrapping using services. So that's one way you could learn. Bootstrapping with a paycheck, Carnival in the Cloud, which is cloud computing businesses, e-commerce businesses from e-commerce to Web 3.0. So these are curated volumes with case studies and analysis. These roundtables happen every week. We've had over 400 roundtables. So you can come to these roundtables or listen to the recordings week after week after week. And the premium program is our full acceleration program. You get full extensive methodology guidance. We have a curriculum that is taught in video lectures and case studies and video interviews often, podcast interviews, etc. The curriculum is very rich at this point. It has probably by now about 500 hours worth of curriculum material. So you have to figure out what parts you're going to focus on. You definitely need to get the core curriculum under your belt. So it's divided into core and elective. On the core side, you really have to get the methodology under your belt, and that's where you get coverage of the issues like how to do bottom-up TAM analysis, how to do positioning. Positioning is one of the keys to getting to rapid product market fit. So on that, I would encourage you to really learn how to do great positioning and get to great product market fit with velocity. And that will also drive how your business is going to move going forward. The premium program also includes introductions. So we help you with business development wherever we have contacts. If you want to be introduced to our contacts as a premium member, you have access to our Rolodex. And we help you with strategy consulting, whatever you call it, whether you call it consulting, you call it mentoring, you call it coaching, whatever. This format that you're being exposed to here is what we use for our premium members, but they're private sessions. They're not open to the public. They're members-only sessions. So that's how we provide you with the project-based feedback, interactive feedback. And then we help you with financing if you are fundable. So we're going to help you diagnose your fundability, understand what is fundable, what is not fundable, how to get to fundability. We'll give you all the pieces along the way. And when you get there, if and when you get there, we will introduce you to the right category of investors who are likely to fund something like what you have in mind. So we do have a tremendous Rolodex of investors. You can go to the seed capital section of the blog and you will find interview after interview of investors. What we've been doing all along is bringing you investor interviews so that you can learn how investors think, you can get to know the investors. And if we introduce you to a particular investor, we strongly recommend that you go, before you meet that investor, you go read an interview of that investor so that you understand how that investor is thinking about, you know, their investment strategy, their investment thesis, etc., so that you get into the heads of the investor and you can customize your discussions to fit that investor. And also, it helps us select which investors are good for your particular situation. It's quite complex, you know, just like you have to do product market fit, you also have to find investor entrepreneur fit. That is critical. The right investor is going to be a good fit for you, who's going to be a good fit for your venture needs to be found, and that's how it works. We also have a lot of clout in the media. You're welcome to use that clout to get the word out there about what you're doing. Go to the website. There's a 1M1M self-assessment. You can ask yourself these questions. These are questions that help you get to good strategy. And this is what investors will evaluate you on the basis of. You should be evaluating yourselves and your business trajectories based on these questions. So this is a great strategic planning framework. If you get stuck on any of these questions, if you get stuck on methodology, go to 1M1M Basic, do the curriculum and plug those gaps. It's very easy, and the curriculum is really fabulous. We're training large numbers of entrepreneurs now for a long time. We launched the curriculum at the end of 2010, and we have enhanced it every month. So it's a very powerful curriculum and very deep curriculum, and nothing like that exists anywhere else in the world, actually, especially based on a methodology that is more bootstrapping oriented. And our mantra is bootstrap first, raise money later. So go dig around on the website, learn what to expect from the premium program, basic program. There are FAQs, video FAQs to help you explore. There are descriptions about the curriculum. As I said, it's all case study based. We have over 800 successful case studies of successful entrepreneurs. You're getting an opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants. These are people who have done it before, who are generously sharing what their blueprint has been. So you can use somebody else's playbook to put one foot before the other, and it's very, very effective. So that's pretty much it. We have roundtables all through September. So 13th, 19th, and 27th are the next 3. And then we have 2 rendezvous, which are in-person events at Cafe Boroni in Menlo Park. If you want to come, please register on the website on the rendezvous link, September 12th and 26th, 5 p.m. PDT. And that's it. We are ready for Q&A. You're welcome to either ask questions in the public chat or dial in and ask questions. We have a question. I'm a beginner, want to open my business service sector, so can I join your premium program to be guided into the right direction? Do I need to prepare first and then join in? Find it risky to directly put my money in building my website and marketing. You know, the earlier you join the program and start following the methodology, the better. Because that way we can guide you and you can avoid making avoidable mistakes. There are a lot of avoidable mistakes that entrepreneurs end up making by shooting from the hip. And what we are saying is we want you to follow a methodology which is proven and avoid making those mistakes. So the answer to your question is join the premium program as early as possible. So while you're putting more questions together, let me introduce you to Irina Patterson. She will answer any questions you might have about the program. Her email is irina@1mby1m.com. You're very welcome, Saurav. Anybody else? Any other questions? Questions, comments, feedback, introductions. If you're in the room, do tell us who you are, where you're joining from, what you're working on, etc. What brings you here? No? No more questions? Raj says a great session, very useful, allows us to be comfortable. Good. Glad you found it useful. Saurav, so it sounds like you've been following these roundtables for a while, since you're saying quite useful every time. And that's great. You know, immersing yourself, kind of simmering in these roundtables is a great way to learn as well, or listening to the recordings. You will invariably learn from the discussions and, you know, be able to get in the mood of entrepreneurship and get in the mood of thinking in a certain methodical, strategic way. Shooting from the hip is expensive. You make mistakes. Following a methodology helps you avoid those mistakes. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? Well, this is obviously not the last chance. You're very welcome to come back next week and we'll continue the conversation. So keep working on your businesses, keep working on your ideas. Join the program as soon as you feel comfortable, whether it's through basic, you come in through basic and upgrade to premium later, or you come in directly into premium, it's up to you. But we look forward to working with you, and we have at this point created a tremendous resource, and we want you to take advantage of it. We've priced it very, very comfortably, so I hope you'll take advantage of what's available to you now, and it's working. We can say with great confidence at this point that it's working, so take advantage of it. Good luck, see you soon, and next week there's both public roundtable and rendezvous. So this week there's no rendezvous, but next week there is rendezvous again, so maybe I'll meet some of you in person as well. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.